Let's take it to the streets. Show you the land of the free like you've never seen. Talking about undiscovered America. Undiscovered America. Undiscovered America. Oh! Undiscovered America.
Hey there, good to see everybody. Today on Undiscovered America, we're merging two amazing worlds, family adventures and our nation's history. But don't worry, we're not going to throw the kids in the minivan and bore them to tears by visiting historical markers. We wouldn't do that. Instead, we have curated experiences that bring the past alive, letting us touch, feel, and live those moments that shaped the America that we know today. Again, it's not about boring passages from a history book. None of this will be on the test. It's about the cool stories, the spirit, the struggles, and the triumphs that built this awesome country. From the courage of settlers to the innovations of pioneers that propelled us forward, every tale is an opportunity to inspire our next generation, the kids. So join us as we venture into a world where every vacation spot offers more than just to get away. It's a chance to walk alongside history, to connect with the people who live there today, and to rediscover the roots of this great land. Ready for a journey like no other? Great, then off we go. In the heart of Colorado, nature's beauty converges with the echoes of the past, and that is where you will find Mesa Verde National Park. This place goes back, way back, to America's ancient civilization. It's a portal to a time long, long ago. So from around 600 AD to 1300, you'll have to do the math on how long ago that was, the ancient Puebloans called this land their home. They carved their stories not on pages, but in the very cliffs and the caves that dot this awesome, incredible landscape. Today, as we trace their steps, families can quite literally climb into that history. These ladders lead to the Puebloan cliff dwellings. These homes, their sanctuaries, they have stood the test of time. Sure, America has a lot of relatively recent dynamic history for such a young country, but we're talking about people of an ancient civilization that thrived against all odds, harnessing the very elements that defined their world. But as mesmerizing as the days in the Mesa Verde are, the nights unveil a completely different kind of magic. These ancient Puebloans weren't just master builders. They were keen observers of the cosmos at the same time. For them, the night sky was a canvas of stories, of seasons, and of time itself. Their understanding of astronomy played a pivotal role in their daily lives, and the clarity of the sky in this desert setting will simply take your breath away. Ranger-led night sky programs share these ancient tales with visitors, pointing out the same stars and the planets that the ancients once gazed upon. It's truly a moment of time travel, allowing the past and the present to beautifully collide. Mesa Verde is an absolute standout among parks in America. Trust me, is a destination that's a timeless quest for understanding and an homage to the stories that are written not in books, but in stone and in starlight. This is a journey worth taking, and trust us, the kids will remember this one for a long time, or at least for the rest of the summer. From the ancient cliff dwellings of Mesa Verde, we now journey east to the mysterious mounds of Cahoyca. Here we'll uncover the mysteries of another ancient civilization. Today we are just steps away from the incredible Cahoyca Mounds, the largest pre-Columbian earthwork in the Americas, an ancient marvel whispering tales of a bygone era. The Monk's Mound is a massive 10-story structure that speaks of power and influence that once permeated this part of the world. It doesn't take much to imagine a great chief standing atop this marvel, keeping a wary eye over his bustling empire. Venture to Woodhenge, where timber circles reached for the heavens, marking solstices and equinoxes long before Stonehenge's fame. The central plaza, the heart of Cahoyca, echoed with commerce, celebration, and community. Imagine this hub where voices and laughter and ancient songs once filled the air. Mound 72 hides all of its secrets, believed to be a resting place of a revered leader and his entourage, their stories preserved forever in the earth. This city wasn't just a settlement, it was the nexus of the Mississippian culture, with trade routes connecting vast landscapes. At the Interpretive Center, the past unveils itself, inviting you to step into this world long lost. With guides to narrate the journey, Cahoyca's tales unfold and bring this stunning landscape to life. Cahoyca Mounds is an echo of society's past, cultures whose legacies still resonate in America's heartland. The oldest continuously inhabited settlement in the U.S. is Acoma Pueblo in New Mexico. It dates all the way back to 1150 AD. So Boston, Massachusetts. It's a city where every cobblestone tells a story, and nowhere is that more evident than on the Freedom Trail. Spanning 2.5 centuries of history, this red brick path invites us to retrace the steps of revolutionaries and visionaries who shaped this great nation. Each of the 16 stops on the Freedom Trail reveals a chapter of America's spirited past. From the serenity of Boston Common, the oldest public park in the U.S., to the iconic gold-domed Massachusetts State House, these now storied sites are monuments to the dreams and determination of a once young nation. The narrative continues with the Paul Revere House, the Old North Church, and the site of the Boston Massacre, waypoints that come alive with tales of bravery, dissent, and transformation. But it's the reenactment of the Boston Tea Party that most folks come to see. The tension in the air, the passionate speeches echoing through the crowds, and the culmination, families getting the thrilling chance to cast crates of tea actually into the waters below. Sure, it's a symbolic act today, but one that resonated deeply in 1773, but continues to inspire us. By the time families reach the USS Constitution, often fondly called Old Ironsides, and Bunker Hill Monument, the magnitude of the journey, both historical and the 2.5-mile trek, it truly sinks in. It's a blend of pride, reverence, and deeper understanding of the values and sacrifices that have paved the way for the America that we know today. Now, you might wonder, in a city as modern and bustling as Boston, how do these dust-covered bits of history remain so vivid? Well, the answer lies in the city's dedication to preserving that legacy. Every brick, every plaque, every reenactor on the Freedom Trail reflects Boston's commitment to remembering and, better yet, celebrating its pivotal role in America's history. Here in Boston, the spirit of the revolution beckons all, from curious kids to history buffs, to come, explore, and better yet, be inspired. Hey, stay with Undiscovered America TV. Next, we explore Colonial Williamsburg and dive into the heady days of the gold rush. Welcome back to Undiscovered America TV. I recently had the opportunity to sit down with Ron Hurst to learn more about Colonial Williamsburg. Check it out. So Ron, how are you doing today, sir?
Very well, David. How are you?
How are things at Colonial Williamsburg?
Things are just wonderful at Colonial Williamsburg. It's one of the most exciting times here in our 90-plus year history.
So tell us, what is someone to expect when they come there? I know there's a lot of living history, there's a lot of structures, but just walk us through what a typical visit feels like for someone coming there.
Well, a visit to Colonial Williamsburg is an opportunity to step back in time. The historic area is full of historic structures and recreated missing structures. Visitors encounter our interpreters in period dress. Many of them will greet you as if it is the 1770s, and you'll see a tremendous number of historic trades being practiced, everything from silversmithing to food preparation. And it's really a full day and more to get a taste of what life was like in 18th century Virginia.
And I'll tell you what, because I've been there and I was really stunned by the living history, the folks there who are in period dress, and they're performing all of their whatever the job is or their crafts are, and they really don't break character. They stay in that place and the time, and they require you to come to them. What kind of training does that take? Are those all volunteers? How does that work?
Well, it's all paid staff members, and those people who are actually portraying individuals from the past really develop their craft over years. Because if you are, for example, portraying Thomas Jefferson, you have to be able to answer questions
Sure.
on the cuff,
Right.
when they are raised. And so it's not something you pick up over a long weekend.
So that's very interesting. These aren't just actors playing a role. These are people who inhabit these historical figures and have to have a depth of knowledge about them specifically.
That's exactly right.
That is an amazing thing, and that's what brings it to life. Part of the challenge, I think, with a lot of historic markers and historic places to visit is making it relevant. Is this a place you come back, you always have something new going on? Tell us about how you keep people interested.
Well, research is constantly happening here. In 97 years of existence, Colonial Williamsburg has not stopped plumbing the depths of the evidence. And because technology and other tools continue to give us new ways to ask questions, we're constantly finding out new things. So right now we're working on half a dozen new restoration and reconstruction projects that will allow us to talk about subjects we've not had a tremendous opportunity to explore in the past. The town has really been set back into the 18th century, but the 18th century, like all periods in the past, gives up its secrets slowly. So there's always something new to learn when you come here.
This might be off a little bit, but I read somewhere recently where you did a historic restoration of a building and you found out that it was much older than it was previously believed to be. Is that true?
That is true. The building in question is the Catherine Orr House. We believed it to be from the late 1780s because of earlier archaeological investigations and a gap in records, written records. But in taking off plaster and having an opportunity to examine its frame close up, we now realize that the building was actually erected in about 1715. In fact, it is the oldest domestic structure on the main street today.
And that's what makes, I think, what you do so interesting and so specific, is that once something's decided, it's not necessarily decided. You continue to review, you continue to dig, you continue to find and make that past come to life. I imagine, because when I was there, I saw it, kids find this immensely fascinating, and you must be a strong attraction for families.
We really are. We try to have a lot of things for kids to do with their hands. And from time to time, we have opportunities for them to come and explore archaeological sites. We encourage them to encounter things like gardening staffs and others, because you really tend to learn better by doing than by listening.
Well, I think you were a great example of what Undiscovering America is. Listen, Ron, if people want to find out more about Colonial Williamsburg, where can they find that?
The best place is our website, colonialwilliamsburg.org. Lots to do there, including what to see while you're here and where to stay and where to eat.
Wonderful. Listen, Ron, thanks for being with us today on Undiscovered America, and thanks for what you do.
Thank you, Dick.
So today we're taking a step back in time, while also projecting forward as we explore the intricate ties between communication advancements and the future of travel in our great nation. The 1830s and 1840s witnessed a seismic shift in the world of communication. You know, it's hard for us to imagine, but in today's age of instant messaging and video calls, that there was a time ever when news traveled only as fast as a horse could gallop or a ship could sail. Enter Samuel Morse and Alfred Vail. Together, they conjured up an invention that would forever alter the landscape of communication. Yes, the electric telegraph. It's 1844, and in a moment of history, a message is tapped out from Washington, D.C., journeying swiftly to Baltimore, Maryland. Morse's chosen words for this inaugural message: "What hath God wrought?" And indeed, what had they wrought? Nothing short of a revolution. Now, how does this all fit into the future of travel for the USA? As communication barriers collapsed, so too did barriers to exploration and travel. The speed at which we shared information directly influenced the speed at which we wanted to move, to explore, and to experience new parts of the world. Fast forward to today, our desires for swift communication have translated to our travel habits. Just as the telegraph once connected cities, today's technologies connect us to every conceivable destination instantly. The pioneering spirit of Morse and Vail laid the foundational mindset for us to seek quicker, more efficient ways to see, feel, and experience the vastness of America. In essence, every time we embark on a journey, every road trip we plan or flight we book, we're honoring that age-old American tradition of breaking barriers, connecting the dots, and embracing the new. The telegraph set us on a path, and today we continue that journey forward, always seeking the next new horizon. So from Morse code to mobile apps, our passion for exploring remains unyielding. The telegraph might be a relic of the past, but its spirit, it's very much alive in the journey we undertake every day. You know, much like the telephone replaced the telegraph, GPS and satellites have replaced the compass, so much for those magnetic needles used by prospectors. And speaking of prospectors, deep within California's heart unfolds a tale shimmering with dreams, ambition, and the unmistakable allure of gold. The year is 1848. A momentous discovery at Sutter's Mill ignites a rush, forever altering America's trajectory. Right here at the Marshall Gold Discovery State Historic Park is where our journey begins. where James W. Marshall's keen eye spotted those gleaming specks that started the legendary California gold rush. It's a touch point for families to immerse themselves in a world where every shimmer held a promise of a much brighter future. The gold rush symbolized the hopes of tens of thousands of people pouring into California, each harboring dreams of fortunes and fresh starts. And the spirit of that era is alive and well in places like Columbia. As you wander through the streets here, you are transported back in time. You feel the pulse of a bustling gold rush town, the distant clang of a blacksmith's hammer, the soft rumble of stagecoaches, and the excited whispers of children trying their own hand at gold panning. The gold rush era isn't just history. It's a testament to the indomitable spirit of adventurers who helped create the California that we know and cherish today. Coming up next on Undiscovered America, whether you're a history buff or just love a good story, you won't want to miss these unforgettable destinations. Stay with us. Welcome back to Undiscovered America TV. Now we're going to dive into a pivotal chapter of American history, a kind of sad one. I sat down with Jason Martz. He's a park ranger and communications specialist at Gettysburg National Military Park to discuss, yes, the Battle of Gettysburg, a turning point in the American Civil War. Jason, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Listen, you are sitting in one of probably the most important sites in America. And it's a very heavily touristed place as well. But tell us, why do people come there? What do you think is the reason that draws most people to that park? Because it's the site of something incredibly sad at the same time.
Yeah, as you said, Gettysburg has a certain connection to Americans, no matter where you're from. It is at the center of the Civil War. The American Civil War was fought between 1861 and 1865, and Gettysburg is kind of right in the middle.
And you must, I mean, it's funny when you think of America's national parks, you think of the big national parks, or most of them are about natural wonder. You think Yellowstone, you think Yosemite, you think Grand Canyon, but then you think of national parks like yours that have to do with incidents or very specific something that happened there. How does that really inform how you guys tell your story?
Some of these big natural parks that you mentioned, there's this immediate visual grandeur to these places.
Right.
But here at Gettysburg, it's very personal. 160,000 soldiers made war upon each other for 3 days, American against American. And in many cases, those who visit may have had a descendant. They are a descendant of someone who fought here. So this tends to be a very personal place, and the connection between the visitor, the present day visitor, and the soldier who fought here is a very strong one, and the desire for visitors to walk in the footsteps.
What is your favorite aspect of the park, or the favorite aspect of your job?
I think it's making that connection truly between the resource that we have available to us in the park, the battlefield, and pulling a string or multiple strings out of that big story and making that connection with the visitor. It's seeing the understanding on their faces, and how critical this place is to America's history is a pretty amazing thing.
Well, Jason, it sounds like the park and that part of American history is in very good hands. Thanks for spending time with us today on Undiscovered America.
You're welcome, sir. Have a great day.
Having explored the historic battlegrounds of Gettysburg, let's now journey back even further in time to Jamestown, Virginia. I had the opportunity to sit down with Catherine Gruber from the Jamestown Yorktown Foundation to discuss the beginnings of English America and the stories of survival, interaction, and growth that marked the first permanent English settlement. Here we are. We are with Kate Gruber. She is from the Jamestown Settlement Yorktown Museum. Kate, how are you today?
Hey, good morning. How are you guys?
Listen, thanks for being with us on Undiscovered America. So tell us, it sounds like Jamestown, it sounds like the entire area there is such an interesting mix. You've got West African, you have American Indian, Indigenous, and you have British all coming together in one place. Talk us through, what's the history there?
Wow, you've just asked me a question that historians have spent entire lifetimes and careers
I'll bet.
attempting to unravel and unpack. But I think we do a pretty good job here at Jamestown Settlement, where we tell the story of the convergence of all of those cultures that you just mentioned and more here in what becomes Jamestown in Virginia. Of course, we know that the first
Jamestown is the oldest continually inhabited settlement. It has a title. What's the title? But there's an asterisk to it, right?
Well, of course, yeah, the colony here at Jamestown begins at James Fort in 1607 when those first English colonists do come over to colonize this area of Virginia primarily as a business venture.
Right.
But of course, this wasn't, by far, this wasn't the first European exploration of North America. And, of course, we have to mention that nor was this, quote unquote, a new world. There are inhabitants here. The indigenous Virginians have a thriving, living culture.
Sure.
Here in Virginia, and those interactions among the English colonists and indigenous inhabitants here is part of the story that we tell at Jamestown Settlement.
Well, we're Undiscovered America. What is one takeaway that you might give us to look for when our viewers go there? What is something undiscovered, something unusual that a visitor might discover?
I think you may have just said it is what we really hope our visitors can take away with is that that Virginia, what becomes Virginia, isn't undiscovered at all. There is a thriving culture of indigenous inhabitants here. The English certainly come here and start changing, their own cultures and their own life ways because of interactions with indigenous Virginians. And of course, when you have the first unfree Africans arriving here after 1619, those cultures come into play as well. And
it
so
sounds like you have a very big job. You have many narratives to tell. You have many stories to tell, and you weave them together into a fabric that really is the beginning of what this country, of what America is. That seems like a very big responsibility in a certain way.
It absolutely is, and that comes right through, or right from rather, our mission statement, which is to tell the stories of the convergence of cultures here, and of course the legacy of the convergence of cultures that we still carry and still have within our culture in America today.
Well, you've been doing it for 300 years plus over there. Not you.
400. We just celebrated in 2007 our 400th anniversary.
400th
here
anniversary.
In Jamestown, yeah.
I don't think there's any other place in the country that can claim that they've been telling a story on this continent that is 400 years old that leads directly to the foundation of this country. Listen, Kate, thank you so much for being with us today on Undiscovered America. And we look forward to seeing you at the Jamestown Settlement in the Yorktown Museum.
Thank you.
So what a journey this has been. Traveling through these iconic destinations with all of you is more than just a trip down memory lane. It's an awakening. It reminds me that every corner of this country holds tales of bravery, innovation, resilience. Together, we didn't just visit these places. Hopefully, we lived some moments that shaped the entire nation. Until next week, this is Undiscover America. We look forward to seeing you again soon.